Digital Mystique and topics in the book. If anyone has questions or comments, you're welcome to bring them up during the talk or ask questions after. And I'll read a couple of little excerpts from the book, very, very short, during the talk. So, why Mystique? Well, first of all, I don't know if you can see the subtitle of the book. I guess I can't there. But the book came, I'll give you a little history because I've written about technology and culture and all kinds of different topics like digital government, cybersecurity, and all this stuff for years. And when my dad died 4 years ago, I had a blog at the time at SFGate, and I blogged about grieving online, because I'm a digital native. I grew up online. I've been online since I was 9, and my daughter's 9. And when he died, I wrote about it because I wanted to share with people what it was like to grieve online, because people, a few years back, this was 2011, nobody was posting on Facebook when people died. They were still being very quiet about this sort of thing. And after that happened, I got a lot of feedback saying, thank you for sharing what you were going through. And I had this sort of epiphany, as Kira was talking about, that really the average person, most people just want to know how to get through their day, and they want to understand their daily lives. And so the book ended up being a combination of each chapter being a different aspect of our daily lives, plus a cultural analysis of where we're going, and a little bit about where we've been. So that's sort of where this comes from. Just thought that might be worth noting for this group. So why Mystique? Because the digital world is exciting and often elusive. Technology itself and the communities we find online intrigue us each day. What is the internet, social media, and mobile technology doing to us, our lives, and our world? Each week, it seems there's a new study someone has conducted to shed their light on this topic. As first-generation digital native, I've been observing the evolution of the internet for 30 years. From first engaging online as a tween, making friends, to building a BBS in high school, to launching a career in IT and digital media, and developing extensive strategies for online engagement. It became clear to me at a young age that technology would change our world. I didn't know how exactly, but I knew the path to change was inevitable. When I sat down to write the Digital Mystique, I looked back at how far we've come and where we're going. Critics say the internet is full of dangers and the unknown, that safety, security, privacy, and anonymity are at stake. This is not real life, the internet's full of haters and negative energy. But if that's the case, why are we all here celebrating the interactive nature of the internet and social media? As my research continues, I'm still optimistic about the hyperconnectivity we have now. There are always risks, but they're usually worth it. There's so much joy and meaning to be found in this mystical world. We're all on the journey together. The content in the book describes tips and recommendations from my experience and research, so I hope to give you a taste of some of that content. I have to include, the cat at the computer shop because of the internet's connection with cats, and I'm a cat person, so forgive me. The minute you step in the digital domain, you begin leaving footprints. And while you may or may not be afraid of relying in real life, you have the choice every day as to what aspects of your identity, personality, interests, and activities you want to show others online. So of course we know that our footprints are tracked by others, but the public footprints are mostly under our control. We are the curators of our lives, and we have an opportunity to show the world the best parts of ourselves. It doesn't always happen that way, but we do have that opportunity. When my book was first added to Amazon early in the publishing process before it was printed, the title and cover were inserted into the database linked to another author named Sarah Granger. She lives in the UK. She writes gay romance novels. So let's just say I took care of that discrepancy as quickly as possible. But I took it one step farther, and I got in touch with her to make sure that we each had each other's contact information so that if either of us got mistaken for the other, we could keep in touch and forward correspondence. We both had a good laugh and moved on. Knowing your niche or identity and your place in the digital world will serve you well. Google alerts are your friend. No one needs surprises like that. So this number is from 2014, so I'm sure it's even more data that we create daily. But I like to think about it sometimes just because it's like when you look out in space and look at the stars and how immense the universe is. That's where we're going with the data that we have online. It's almost unfathomable for the human brain. But this tells me that our role of curators is becoming more crucial over time. It's so difficult to actually get through all of this data and make sense of it. Just think of whatever social network you joined last was at the beginning. When I first joined Pinterest, all the same things kept coming up repeatedly, and I got bored with certain types of information. Now it's a vast repository of image links, articles, infographics, and other information. As curators, we need to know the rules of curation. SEO dictates that we want our content to be current, relevant, and authoritative to be noticed online. We also want to maximize our access controls. Who can see how private our information is. Curation is not just about the content itself, but who we wish to observe it. How often do you contemplate your digital friendships? Where do they begin? How many of them have deepened since you connected online? What social media has been favorable to that friendship? What has gotten in the way? Some people will just decide, oh, to hell with Facebook, I'm getting off of it. Others will curate their connections very specifically and decide, well, I'm only going to post this to certain people, and some will be so private that it's almost like they're not on social media at all. And then, of course, there are the lurkers, just get online to see what everyone else is doing. When I wrote the book, Facebook boasted 150 billion friend connections. If they're all 6 degrees from Kevin Bacon, how many is that? No friendship is created equal, and no digital friendship is identical. So how many interactions between us and our friends online become quantified? We hear about the dangers of becoming too attached to the numbers of likes and comments, and this is very true. I learned early on as a blogger that qualitative feedback was much more meaningful than quantitative. But I still get that dopamine high just like everybody else. So everything we post online is subject to timing, algorithms, and whims of users. So much as our friendships can evolve through digital engagement, we can also be fooled by the likes and the emoticons. But friendship is the root of so many of our connections that whether we're getting to know each other or whether we've become committed friends, it's still very key to our engagement online. Connecting for love is even more complicated. That said, the data shows we're actually doing well in that area. 1 in 6 new marriages is a result of meeting on internet dating sites. When I was working on that chapter, I posted a question on Facebook because I had a friend source a lot of the data myself. I asked, what does online dating mean to you? One of my friends replied, it means thank goodness because I got my Prince Charming online. We were married a week ago today. You don't hear stories like that too often, but I heard more than I expected to in my research. And I have to admit that the data is clear. Connecting online does make a difference. Some relationships begin online, others end online, but we're using digital media to communicate our romantic relationships as much as we possibly can now. I know without technology, I would have a very difficult time communicating with my husband when he was in college. Well, right after college, I was still in college. He had started his first job. We never talked because he could only call me after work. Now we text all day and keep in touch, and that has a tangible result. So the kids online, this topic was actually the most challenging for me to research because I'm a parent too. Now my 9-year-old daughter is the person whose back you see in the image here. And this was a coding camp that they did at the Castellana School in Palo Alto with some of her friends. And you know, even as savvy as I am with digital media, I'm still catching up all the time. I still have to ask all of my friends what they're doing, which sites their kids are on, what troubles them, how far they think they should go in this site. We ask all kinds of questions. How much screen time is appropriate by age? I did a talk in Berkeley earlier this week about digital kids, and we ended up, the event went on for 3 hours, because everyone always has questions, and parents are concerned. This is a huge issue, but the takeaway from that event through talking with the parents is that it's scarier for the parents a lot of the time than it is for the kids. Certainly we hear these edge cases where the bullying is so severe that the kids just don't know how to go on. But in general, digital media has been really a wonderful thing for our children and helping their brains develop. So teens, I don't know if I believe this stat, but 92% of teens are actually using the real names on social media. That's one of those things that I think is changing, because one of the areas we're trying to do is educate younger kids not to do that at the beginning when they're learning, and to create their digital persona over time. But it is one of those interesting stats and something to think about, because teens have to transition. So the other topic we discussed the other night was, when do you get your kids more freedom? When do you allow them to take more risks online? And that's a question that I'll have parents in the digital age have to answer. Seniors are spending more time online, with half of the U.S. adults over 65 online and 43% using social media. It's no surprise they mostly want to keep tabs on, as grandparents, on their grandchildren and connect to close friends. Most of them are lurkers. But they can be resoundingly active. I tell seniors there's no excuse for them to not engage online if they're interested. I have the great pleasure of knowing a woman named Florence. She is, gosh, I think she might be, yeah, she's 104 now. And she lives in Menlo Park, and she's on Facebook. And a few years ago, I decided to see if she was one of the oldest people on the site, just for the fun of it. I thought she might get a kick out of it. And long and short of it is she ended up meeting Mark Zuckerberg and Sheryl Sandberg, and she ended up on the Tonight Show and all this stuff because she was they thought she was the oldest user on Facebook at the time. They found a couple others. I don't know who's the oldest now, but I like to use her as a role model because for seniors in their 70s who say to me, "Oh, I'm too old to use the internet." No, you're not. If Florence can be on there over 100, anyone can become active online. So I wrote a chapter that I call The Passion of the Web, but it's not just about our passions and our interests. In terms of the arts component of this event, I like to think about how much we can do, how much more we can do with the arts now than we used to be able to do. For when I was growing up, back in my day, we had ASCII art, and I would draw pictures with text characters, and that's all we could really do. But now it's just become so amazing, whether your passion is news, books, design. There's so much more you can do with it now. Has anyone tried Canva? That's a new thing I've been experimenting with. It's a great new tool for revolutionizing digital design. And digital media itself can be a passion as well. For the business side, and I don't know how many of you are academics versus on the business side, there are many, many books on social media for business, for marketing, how to use it. I do a lot of work with digital leaders now and trying to help people get more active online and have a more involved digital presence with their business, because there's all this talk about quantifying the results and going out there and pushing media out, but how do we engage with our businesses? How do we create strategies that really build our brands online and move forward? And this is an important aspect of our digital lives because we all have our livelihood and we have to figure out how to present our work online. And I spend a lot of time explaining to people in digital business that it's more than just a one-way presentation of information and lasting press releases on every social media feed. It's so there's some basic strategy in the book that I won't go into, but in general, I really feel that the talk about being authentic in your digital life makes all the difference. So having grown up online really and being online since I was 14, the aspect of community online that was what was the most important thing for me to convey through my work and through this book, because there's so much out there about, oh, the internet's going to ruin about our brains, technology is making us lazy, but I would not have made the friendships I've made over the years without the connectivity that I've been able to have with people and meet them all over the world. And one of the communities that's been really powerful for me is the Blogger network. How many of you have heard of Blogger? Yeah, so they're based in the Bay Area. It's a the company is, but it's a women's bloggers network, and the network itself now has over 100 million women, if you include all the readers and the bloggers. And it started with 3 women in Coupa Cafe in Palo Alto, of course, and this idea, where are the women online? And so they started building this small community, and over time it grew. And so all of the women that were blogging got together, and we had conferences and the communities and the social media. And those friends have become my friends online and offline, and it's a real thing. And so people who say that the internet gives us nothing, if we put something into it, we will get something out in terms of digital communities. I'm going to read a story that is somewhat local. It's this SF Bat Kids story. Most of you probably heard this one. November 15th, 2013 was an extraordinary day in San Francisco. In order to grant the wish of a brave little boy named Miles Scott, the city transformed into Gotham City for a day. Miles, who battled leukemia for most of his life, told his mother he wished to be Batman, and the Make-A-Wish Foundation decided to grant his wish. Escorted by Batman, Miles, aka Bat Kid, saved a damsel in distress, thwarted a bank robbery, and rescued San Francisco Giants mascot Lucille, taking on the Riddler and the Penguin. Miles became a hero to the city, earning a key from Mayor Ed Lee, and President Obama posted his first Vine video message congratulating Miles. "Way to go, Miles, way to save Gotham," he said. The production brought tears to the eyes of observers worldwide. The Day of Bat Kid became a global phenomenon because it combined all the best efforts of people on the ground and online. City workers closed streets so the Batmobile could clear traffic and follow the Riddler. TV news crews captured video footage from helicopters above. Volunteer spectators cheered for Miles in Union Square. The Giants webcast of the rescue of Lucille from the stadium, and the Clever Girls Collective, a local social media agency, worked closely with the Make-A-Wish Greater Bay Area and Twitter to create a digital community around the event. Stefania Pomponi, who was actually a friend of mine through the Blogger community, she was the founder of Clever Girls, and she learned about the event on a local blog called SFist, and offered Clever Girls services to assist the foundation, knowing they likely didn't have the existing support structures for such an endeavor. In the 2 weeks leading up to the big day, they reached out to Twitter and obtained SFfish and SF Penguin SF accounts to use alongside SF Bat Kid to promote the activities. They started using the SF Bat Kid hashtag. They built 2 teams with social media expert strategists and technicians to accompany Miles and to tweet remotely through the day. During the total 2-week campaign, they tracked nearly 2 billion Twitter impressions relating to Bat Kid and SF Bat Kid. Bat Kid ruled the internet for a day, and his wish not only helped raise awareness for the foundation and for leukemia efforts, but also brought millions of people together for a day. We can't all be superheroes, but we can make a big difference online. The ripple effect provides a great metaphor for online outreach because it exemplifies the idea that one person can make a change in her world. So I like that story because it really shows the best of how people can work together and combine online and offline activities to make something happen when they really put their minds to it. Online petitions, Twitter storms, email campaigns, we've seen so many examples of how the internet can democratize and change policies, open governments. This is just the beginning. And there's a lot more in the book about these topics, of course, but this is one of the things that means a lot to me, that I've spent a lot of my career on, is using digital media to help get the word out about important issues. So keeping in mind that that is a part of our digital lives and not just checking email for work and connecting with friends across the country, really being able to realize the power of the tools that we have, I think is crucial. And I already talked a little bit about this at the beginning, and but now people are starting to think about what we leave behind more strategically. Everyone breathes differently, and everyone has a different level of comfort and privacy online, and so there are all kinds of options for what we can leave behind now, and there are all kinds of ways to share the sad news, but it is becoming increasingly more prevalent to think about this. I know Facebook now has the option for you to have sort of a next of kin for your Facebook account, so that there is somebody who can manage your account if something happens to you. And so thinking about these things in terms of how you use digital media and what you will do next with your digital life is an important concept. So I don't even know where to begin with this one, because there's just no way to keep track of it all. We have to curate our own experiences and think about what we leave behind. Social media companies are now working on how to take all of this data and archive it for posterity. More than 200,000 images are uploaded to Facebook every minute. So what do we do with that? I've gotten to the point where I purposely will pre-curate the images that, because I take, when I was growing up, it would take maybe 5 photos a month, right? And now I probably take 5 photos an hour. So I have to think about, before I even sync the images to my computer or back anything up, I now try to pre-curate, like, okay, when am I really going to use these again? It's fun to take that picture, but am I really going to look back at this? So I think we have to start thinking about our data in a different way so that we don't end up with all this deluge of information. Like when my parent, my dad, and my grandmother have all this physical items to go through. Now we're going to have all of this virtual data for our children to leave behind. How do we curate that? How do we put it in a form that's not a burden on the next generation? And finally, social media overuse is a real thing. We get overstimulated, overloaded, stressed, and even injured from being online, whether it's computers or mobile devices. We're all at risk of pushing ourselves too far, too long. And there's plenty more we could talk about this, but I have 10 tips that I thought I'd share to close about how to deal with social media overload. In no particular order: file it away, information for later. And this is from all the research I've done. Adopt moderation with reminders and tools. Time yourself to keep from overusing your time. Choose the winners, focusing on the most important priorities. Find an antidote, like taking walks in nature. Rein in your information intake. Attack your email like it's a prized foe. Take a break, whether it's an hour or a month. Come back refreshed. Dump it, trash it, delete it, life is short. Or just quit. Some apps and gadgets you just don't need. So this is your life, it's what you make of it. Pay it forward by helping others online, connecting, building communities, leaving a legacy, and making a difference where it matters most to you. Thank you.